What's going on, guys? Welcome to the David F. Haas podcast. I am in the studio today with a new friend of mine, Ysabelle Allard. And Ysabelle does something that is very near and dear to my heart, which is home organization. And she has a really amazing story. She left the corporate world after being in Toronto for 20 years and has now moved here to Windsor. Well, you're still kind of in between. And she's been featured on the Marilyn Dennis show. And really just have taken this business called Tidy My Stuff to a whole new level. And it's just something I think is so important. I've actually talked about it on my own podcast. And I think the message that Ysabelle has is amazing. And I'm really excited to get your input. So thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. I can tell that this is going to be a great episode. So let's just talk first and foremost about like what it is that you're doing now with respect to like home organization.
Well, basically, I'm trying to help people live their best life. Honestly, it sounds like a tagline, but I think we're, getting out of COVID right now, getting out of being stuck in our homes, and we have all this stuff, and it's affecting us. So I am helping people pretty much declutter their space so they have more space in their brain and their mind to do what they want to do.
Yeah, I love that. So, like, what are you doing? Are you physically going into people's homes and are you helping them with the organization, or are they doing the organization? Like, that would be something I'd be interested in.
No, I am helping them. Helping them. It's everybody, including myself, gets overwhelmed. You just do. You walk into a room and there's just too much stuff and you don't even know where to start. So I go in and just like a personal trainer would do with you at the gym, I literally am there kind of holding your hand and keeping you on task, and we kind of get rid of everything. And of course, the focus is on donating to charities in need. So just to kind of just help them clear their space, donate to charity, and then continue on with their life. So
I love that. I think it's so important. As I think I talked about it on podcasts, like this one junk drawer that I had, and I finally like cleaned it out. And then every time I opened that junk drawer, I was just like, it was just like this sense of relief. And right now in my house, we've been there for 4 years, and my basement is unfinished, and it's just been like a storage. Like we just keep throwing everything down there, and literally, I honestly can sense the energy because I'm somewhat intuitive, but I can honestly sense the energy coming up from the basement. And that sounds hokey pokey or whatever you want to call it, but like there's like a reluctance to go down there. There's it's just there's a reluctance to even get started with respect to the organization, and we are going to have the basement redone next year. So there is going to come a point where I'm like, I got to go down there and get this thing organized. But like I think that home organization, these types of things, I think that's a big part that people are missing is like the actual energy that you get sucked from you when you're not organized.
I agree. Like think about from when you wake up in the morning. You're waking up and now you're going to your bathroom to get ready, and you open under the sink and you can't find anything. Now your routine is becoming complicated. It's taking you a long time, and you're just frustrated. Then you go to your closet and you hate everything or you can't find anything. So you're now, again, even more frustrated and you haven't even started your day. You move over to the kitchen, you have to get the kids' lunches ready, your lunch ready, everything, you can't find anything. By the time you leave for work, you're completely like, you have no more energy, you're frustrated. How are you supposed to do what you want to do during the day?
Yeah, and that goes along lines with a lot of stuff that I talk about is like the stacking up. So I talk like, let's say for example, the stacking up of anger. So if you're on your way to work and some guy cuts you off in traffic, that makes you a little bit angry. Then you get to work and you got more work than you thought you had, and that makes you a little more angry. Then you come home and the kids made a mess, and you're a little bit more angry. And then eventually at some point that anger kind of like comes toppling over. And so yeah, I love that if you're starting off your day and it's subtle, but like opening that junk drawer back in the day when it was a mess, there is a little bit of like I don't want to call it anger, but it's like just this dis-ease, like my life's not together. It's like kind of like a reminder, which would go even into deeper emotional issues. Was like I'm undeserving, I'm not good enough, I'm lazy, whatever it is. So you start telling these things to yourself, and without the awareness of those things or the realization of them, it can create bigger problems in your life.
I agree. And actually everybody that I go to their homes, they're completely embarrassed. They think something's wrong with them. And meanwhile, all of us have this problem, including myself, like I mentioned. Like, we all have that problem. There's nothing wrong with it. And the first thing you need to do is let go of that and just be like, okay, I'm going to do something about it today.
Yeah, I love that. And, a big thing that happens for me with my clients and coaching is that especially in group coaching, when they realize that their problems are not their own, like we as humans, we're so egocentric and we think that everything is about us, right? And we think that we're the only ones suffering from this issue. But when I get people together in group and they start to see that, oh, everyone is suffering from these same problems, then they're like, they don't feel as alone. And I think that's what's happened in home organization as well. It's like no one is, no one's got their house as messy as my house, or no one else has this problem. And then you realize that pretty much everyone kind of suffers from it in some way, shape, or form. Now, maybe it's bigger. Some people, maybe it's just one junk drawer, whereas other people, it could be, an entire room or a garage or a basement in my case. So I'm assuming that's what you're seeing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Basements are notorious. You can have a completely organized house, but there's always that one space that you just can't tackle. It could be your closet. You might have gained weight, lost weight, whatever. It could also be your garage. It could be, some people it's the whole house. Some people it's just one room. The bottom line is we all have it, all of us, including me. I wish I could hire myself once in a while because there's no way that nobody, doesn't have a space that is cluttered.
Yeah. And, that actually brings up another point, which is like the best way to help others or to help yourself is to help others. And this is just something that I've learned. Like I learned so much from my clients. Like, half the time when I'm in a one-on-one session and I get out of that session and I'm like, was that for me or was that for them? But the truth is it was for both of us, and I think that's probably what you're seeing as well, is like the more you help people declutter their lives, you begin to declutter your life. And that's kind of like what you did with the leap from the corporate world to your own business. Like you had a pretty good gig.
I do. And I would say that most of the time there are tears at the end of it from both parties, because you could see the release of stress, of that embarrassment, and they just tear up. They just can't believe that they managed it. And we did it together. And now we always put a system in place so that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, that's huge.
That is massive. And it's a system that works for each person. Like it's a different system for each person. Sorry, is what I meant. So before we start anything, I don't go in there and have like a cookie cutter way of organizing. I actually ask a lot of questions, how they live, what they want. If I were to wave a magic wand, what would it look like? What would it feel like? And then I organize according to that. Again, with their help, so that they learn, and then I never have to go back there again because I've now taught them how to do it.
Yeah, and that was like, the one question we were talking before we started the podcast. The big problem that I have with respect to organizing, and I love getting rid of shit. It's like I'm obsessed with it. Like I don't, I've come to this realization that the things you own end up owning you. Like it's literally it's like ingrained in my life, and almost in some ways to like a detriment, because even the things that I really enjoy, I begin to kind of see them as a burden a little bit. Like my boat, for example, I love sailing, but that boat requires a lot of energy and time to maintain. And I have done some delegating, and I hired guys to come clean my boat. They did a great job, and these types of things. So I am doing a little bit of delegating, but the boat is a big thing, but can go into the tiniest little things, like a junk drawer, and it's like, even that junk drawer, the thought of like organizing it is overwhelming in some ways. It can be as small as a junk drawer, and the thought of my basement is even more so overwhelming. And now one of my coaching principles is like, how do you eat an elephant? And it's like, one bite at a time. So it's like looking at these small little things that you can begin doing. But I've always been the kind of guy, like I want to start it and finish it, like start to finish, kind of thing. And so for me to go downstairs and put a few things in a bin, I just don't feel like, I kind of think it's like, it's got to be this weekend project kind of thing. But the challenge that I did face, and this is like what I'd like you to expand on, is, so I would organize a junk drawer, and then 2 months later, it's a junk drawer again, right? Or I would do something in the basement, and 2 months later, 5 more boxes are down there. So like, what are the tools to, once you do make the leap, like you give your clients this, but what are the tools you give people to make sure this doesn't happen?
Well, the big thing is the one in, one out rule.
Yeah.
So if you bring in something, a kitchen a little kitchen tool that's going in your kitchen drawer, to a toy, then one of those items has to come out. That's it. You leave a bag by the door or a box, and you put it in there, and every time you're on your way out, you just bring it with you, and then to bring it to a charity of your choice. But I'm going to touch back on what you were saying about like you want to just attack the whole basement in one weekend. So a general rule, even I can't do that. It's an energy thing. It takes a lot of energy. Decision making is at a limited, time. So I think the most I could do is 6 hours, and that's being a professional at it. So all the power to you if you want to attack it, but just know that. What I tell people is just start small. A drawer is always the best example, because I find if I'm sitting there waiting for water to boil or the microwave or whatever, I just open the drawer and kind of go through it. It literally takes 5 minutes. Yes. Utensils, you take them all out. Whatever is not working for you anymore, you haven't used in a year, it's got to go. Put it in that box to charity if it's in good condition. And then you've just done that. And then what happens is it's addictive. You just kind of want to keep going. So I could say 99% of my clients have just kept going on their own after I've left.
Oh, nice.
And it's become like a big thing. They send me pictures. I've now done this room. I've now done that room. Because that freeing feeling is so addictive. And then they've seen how to do it and that they can actually do it themselves. It's a lot simpler than they thought. And then they keep going with it.
Amazing.
Because you just want that feeling everywhere after.
Yes.
I
want that feeling.
You do. You want it everywhere. You do. And then once you have it, let's say now you have your closet and everything in there makes you feel amazing and fits well. You want that now in the kitchen.
Right. So
you want that in the bathroom. You want that feeling of just like flow where you don't have to think about anything.
Yeah. Let's keep going down this road a little bit. Let's talk about my basement. Okay. So my basement is, the big problem in my basement is that I store all my sails for my sailboat, because I'm like a pretty competitive sailboat racer. So I have this one room under the sunken living room where it's just sails, and they're like they're big, they're gigantic, these things, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm a sailor as well.
Oh, are you? Oh, okay. There we go. We have that in common. So I have all these sails down there. So that room is like basically a write-off, because it's just a sail room, which is I'm okay with. But the other things I have in there are like camping equipment that I haven't used in 15 years, although I did just use it recently, but hockey equipment that I haven't used in 10 years, and
Christmas tree.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. So it's like I struggle with this, like, this is what I've been struggling with, like, because this cleaning my basement has been on my radar, which is kind of interesting. I believe everything happens in perfect synchronicity, so that's probably why you're here. So I've been thinking about like my hockey equipment, for example. It's like, I haven't played hockey forever. Do I just donate that? And then if I want to play hockey, go buy new hockey equipment at some point?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly the way you should do it. Too many people hold on to stuff. What if I need it?
Yes.
Well, if you do need it, you're probably going to want new equipment or new stuff.
Yep.
And that will fit you at that time.
Right.
And then you'll just go out and get it.
Yeah.
Because stuff also in a basement rots. It goes bad.
Yeah.
Even if your basement is pristine.
Yes.
Stuff goes bad. And then think about maybe those kids or those adults that can't afford hockey equipment, which is really expensive, and bring it to the secondhand place for hockey equipment. And now you've just made somebody really happy. Or better yet, put it on Facebook, donate it for free to somebody really needing it. Yeah. And then that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
That's it. But back to the basement. So you would then take your hockey equipment, like that's your project for the weekend. Yep. Let's attack the hockey equipment.
Gotcha.
And then the next weekend, let's attack the camping equipment.
Yeah.
That's it. Forget the rest. And if you must take that equipment into another room to not get overwhelmed in the basement, because you tend to kind of like, oh, look at that bin. Just bring the stuff into a separate space. Bring it to the garage. Bring it on a table. I don't care. Okay. And then just focus on that. Like just that hockey equipment. Go through it. Put a pile for donate and a pile I'm going to keep. And the pile you keep, put it all neatly back in a bag or a bin at the dollar store for $3, whatever. Yep. And then that's now your hockey equipment. And it's probably going to take 1/10 of the space. And you're going to feel 200% better that you've donated to a worthy cause.
Yeah, I love that. And since we're on the worthy cause thing, let's talk about that for a second. because I think this is like also again, I know a timely podcast because, what a great time to get organized. This is like a time when you're going to have family and friends over to your house. And, but it's also a time where less fortunate people are in need. And so, it serves dual purpose. One is you get your house cleaned and tidy for when your in-laws come over, and everyone will be so envious of how organized your home is. But two is you can give back to some charities. And, we've talked a little bit about some of the charities that you give back to, but where are you mostly donating that stuff? And I know you're kind of new to Windsor, but
I am, but everywhere,
Yeah.
basically. So
Okay.
these charities can get pretty specific. Take a women's shelter. They usually have a monthly list of what they're looking for, because you can't just dump a big bag of clothes there. They don't have the space. The space is used for a bed.
Yeah.
So 1 month they might need linen. And then the next month they might need toiletries, those little bottles you get at the hotel. It changes from month to month. So it's very easy to get in touch with them and just find out what they need and then go to that. I prefer charities that don't make a profit.
Yes.
I'm not going to name any names unless you want to, but I prefer charities that are really like everything is actually going to the people.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm usually like just going to call people out, but like, I look at a place like Goodwill or a place like Value Village, and like I understand their businesses and they're employing people and they're doing all these things, but I'm questioning, like, Goodwill, like, they have these massive buildings, and I'm like, what is going on here? And so I want to be donating to charities. Like Mike Rover's over at Second Chance Parish. This is a guy, I've been trying to get him on my podcast, we haven't connected, but this is a guy that's dedicated his life to like helping other people that are less fortunate. And so he takes furniture donations and these types of things, and he literally goes to people and like helps them and brings them like a bed if they don't have a bed, and clothes. And it's like literally, and it's all for, there's no profit. Like, no one's taking any wages. No one's, they're all doing it like, those are the people that I want to be giving back. And actually I've been watching a show on Netflix called Made. I don't know if have you watched that?
Yes.
Oh my God. It's like one of the things that happens when you start doing like spiritual growth and stuff is that the empathy that people have for others, that compassion that people, it's like you can barely even watch it without crying, It's like, there's this one scene when she walks into this women's shelter and this old black woman is like there, and she just like welcomes her in and is like, it's okay, you're here. And I was just like, oh my God, like the compassion that a stranger has for another person is just unbelievable. And I think this is like, we're talking about all the good that's going to come from decluttering and the lightness you're going to feel, but let's talk about also like the good that's going to come from like when you give these things to other people. It's unbelievable. Absolutely.
I remind clients of that all the time when they're looking at something that they've kind of forgot they had for a long time and they still want to hold on to it. And I say, there's a woman out there that just escaped, a really bad place, and now she's at a women's shelter and she has nothing. She didn't even bring her purse, and now she has 2 kids with her. So why don't we give that to her? She needs clothes. The kids need toys. Like, let's give to her. And I'm big on actually doing that afterwards. And once I'm done at my clients, I now have a full truck full of stuff, and I'll go to all those places on my own time. This is not charged, obviously, and try to donate to all the multiple places. It'd be a lot easier for me to just go to one charity and give it all there, but I actually take the time to find out exactly who needs what, and then I bring them each that bag. And then even then I go an extra step, because I'm trying to save the planet a little bit, is if it's not donatable, then I'll go to like the recycling center we have here in Windsor and like put it in the right recycling area, not just throw it out. I hate landfills. So but to your point, definitely the charities that are actually making a difference. It even goes to Second Chance, the dog rescue place. It didn't even clue in until my own puppy grew out of her cages, and I posted it on Facebook like, I'm donating this, and they contacted me immediately, and so we had a conversation. I'm like, well, I have a lot of clients that have puppy stuff, and they're like, we'll take anything. So they're just dying for anything dog related. And I never would have thought of that. And it goes actually literally to the dogs. So I love that. I think you're right. We need to focus on charities that actually help people and don't make a profit for it.
And if you want to feel like really good too, it's like you can also just give it away on Facebook. Like Facebook Marketplace is like this amazing tool. Like and it can be a tool in both ways. One is you can donate stuff and really see the joy when someone comes and picks it up, when you're giving it for free, but also you can sell it, and I've sold so much stuff on Marketplace, and it's like instant. It's like you post and then someone's at your door a half hour later. It's wild. And my strategy, I'm giving my Facebook Marketplace strategy away here, but my strategy on Facebook Marketplace is I look what everyone else is selling it for and I just lower it by like 25% and I sell it immediately. Like I've just sold everything. So a good buddy of mine actually just sold his house, and he's not moving to another. He's going to go live with his dad. His dad's getting older, so he decided to go move back in with his dad. And he got rid of it. He's like, his whole life is in like 2 boxes. And I'm like, I'm so envious of you because he just has nothing now. And it's like, but you could have that feeling of like lightness in your own home. And I think that's what you're doing for people. I mean, it goes beyond just this idea of being like a home organizer.
It does. I mean, Netflix has a couple of shows on right now about home organizers. One's the Home Edit, the other one's the Marie Kondo. Yeah. And I love all that because it's actually educating people about how you can better your life. I'm not particularly stuck on what it all looks like afterwards. The bins don't have to all align. It doesn't have to be all color coded.
But that's cool though.
It is very cool. And we try to do that as much as possible. Yeah. But it really is about bettering your life, making a system for yourself. The Home Edit has this tagline, it's a system, but it's true. It's like for your life to flow better. And therefore, all that space you have in your brain now can go towards what you're trying to accomplish.
Love that.
Or even your kids or whatever.
Yeah, this big thing that I've been on, and you just touched on it there, is like universal laws. Okay, so there's a universal law of abundance. Okay, so meaning that like a dandelion doesn't produce one seed to reproduce; it produces hundreds of seeds, right? And one of the universal laws that you touched on right there is that you need to create space, right? So what I do with my clients, and I talk about my 3 R's, which is realize, release, and realign. So the first step is to realize what it is that you're avoiding feeling, right? And then once you learn how to release that negative emotion, you now have the space to realign with your true self. But until you create that space, you can throw all the information you want at your problem, all the tips and tools, but until you create that space and you let go of the root cause of that, then none of that stuff is going to work. And so it's interesting that you're helping people create that space like in their homes so that they have the space to focus on things that really matter to them.
Absolutely. And I am using your 3 R's in my own work.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
The way I tell people is like, realize that there's a problem. Like you have too much stuff, or your day-to-day doings are too complicated or too time consuming. So realize that. And then release it. Release the embarrassment about it. Release the embarrassment. Everybody's going through it, like we said. Release the thoughts on those items. People put such a value on items. It's amazing. Either, well, that cost me so much money, so I can't release it. Well, okay, but it's costing a lot of real estate in your space and in your mind. So how much is it really worth? Release the thought that you were going to be a certain person. I was going to be a crafting person, let's say. And they have a whole, room full of crafts, but they have no interest anymore in crafting. Release that person. Yeah. That you were going to lose 20 pounds by now and you bought clothes that you thought you were going to fit into. Release that. Like, that's not good for you. Yeah. Just give it to that charity. And then when you do lose the 20 pounds, if you do lose it, whatever, you're going to want to buy new clothes anyway. Yep. And then go feel better and get yourself some new clothes. So there's that release, and then the realign. Once you kind of go through all that, then like, okay, what am I going to do about it? What's really bothering me? Well, getting dressed bothers me, or my basement bothers me. Well, okay, what are we going to do about it? So then that's when you're like, okay, I'm going to take this weekend and one project per weekend, one little bit per weekend. Yes. And next thing you know, a few months have gone by and you've actually done it. Yeah. And it's free. Yeah. Doesn't cost anything. it always takes less time than you think. Everybody's always shocked by like how much you could do in an hour. If you just zero in, put your tea, your music on,
Turn your phone off.
And that's it. Give yourself an hour to do that. It's free. And then if you do want to organize it after, don't go spend a lot of money. Go to the dollar store and get a few bins. $20 will get you everything you need for like a closet or, and then put it all in bins, categorize it, go crazy, get a label maker if you want. But I'm just saying, like, it's really not as complicated as people think.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the bringing the 3 R's in there, because a big thing that, especially in our culture, is there's attachment to things, this is actually more of a male problem than a female problem, believe it or not. It's like men are usually more attached to things. They want more things. They want more tools. They want cars. They want all the boats and these types of things. But I think it obviously it goes across both genders. But that attachment, so a big part of what I teach is non-attachment. Like I'm not attached to anything. Like I've said this over and over again. It's like I'm not even attached. No, I have to be careful. I'm not even attached to my wife. Now, so meaning though that my happiness does not rely on her. Right. And so obviously I love my wife and I don't want her to leave me. But in the sense, though, that if she did decide at some point that she was going to leave me, my life would continue on and I would still be happy. It's a tough realization to, not a tough realization. That's a big awareness to come to. But it starts, though. It starts with letting go of attachments of these small things, and you hit the nail on the head that people have weird attachments to things.
They do, and it's okay. We all have it.
Yeah.
There's my biggest challenge is when it comes to kids. People want to hold on to stuff for their kids. Oh, yeah. And I always tell them, but now the kids will have to look after all this stuff. So yes, let's hold on to stuff for kids, but pare it down. Why not one bin of like really important stuff?
Yes.
Their first drawing or that thing or that picture. Not a basement full of stuff.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that to them, because another big part of what I do is I do go to homes where people have passed and I help the family members to get through everything. And you could tell that those people who passed wanted to hold on to all that stuff for them. Yeah. But now the children have no need for it. And now they have to go through months and months of pain to kind of, what would she or he wanted me to do with this, or wanted to, so why not just like live your life, get rid of everything that you don't need, keep that one box or 2 boxes of things that you really think should be passed on. So that's kind of the hardest thing, I think.
No, that hits home for me too, because my mom passed away when I was 9, and my dad passed away when I was 35 or whatever, and I had all these boxes of photos of of my dad's childhood, and it's like I don't know any of these people in these photos, and I did feel that sense of obligation, to keep it for a second, and I threw it all away. But for me, it's like there's a spiritual teaching that says you kind of like look in the mirror and you repeat the words, "I am not important." And I still don't 100% fully understand it, so I don't really use it in my own teachings, but I get it, kind of, meaning going back to that our egocentric nature, which is like we think that we are important, right? And people are going to want to look at pictures of us 100 years from now, but it's like after like a few generations, it's like I look at my dad's pictures, I'm like, I have no idea who that is, So it's like we're not as important as we think are, and I do agree that there is some things that you want to hold on to, my mom gave me this teddy bear, before she passed. It was the last gift she ever gave me. Like I'm never throwing that teddy bear away. Perfect, so maybe one day I'll pass that on to my daughter or whatever that may be. But keeping boxes and boxes of photos, and my father-in-law is the worst for this. He's got a whole house full of stuff, garage full of stuff. Like he kept the high chair from his kids, so that he could allow, so he could have it for when we had grandkids. And granted, we are using the high chair now, but I mean, he's been storing this thing for 30 years, so that he could use it now. So, and we bought our high chair for our daughter from IKEA for $22, and it's just like, he moved it. He's moved 3 times since then. So he's moved it from house to house to house, and all so that one day when he has grandchildren, he can pull it out of the basement and dust it off and not have to spend $20.
But I will, that's okay. But had he just kept that one high chair,
right? Oh yeah, but he kept everything. Yeah.
I know, exactly. So I always tell people that, they think I'm going to go in their house and get rid of absolutely everything. I don't. I tell them what you really passionate about.
Yeah.
So let's take that high chair.
Yeah.
He could have kept that high chair and just made it that one thing, instead of everything. And then you would have been like, wow, once you would have received that chair, it would have been like, oh, just like that teddy bear.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, pick that one memorable thing and don't let that get lost in boxes and boxes of stuff. Had you gotten that teddy bear along with 25 boxes, it would have got lost. You never would have gotten the magic, the moment of it. Amazing. So had you just one bin, and now with technology, back to these pictures, because this is the bane of my existence with pictures. Yeah. Technology, you could snap pictures of pictures on your phone. Yes. And there are apps that will make a book like this. Yes. Make a whole book. And then you could put your little comments. This was Granddad, 1940. And now you've got yourself, make 10 books if you want. 10 books will take this much space, as opposed to 10 boxes. Yeah. Make it a fun thing. Like Christmas is around the corner, you're at your people's house, take out 2 boxes of photos, go through them, make a pile of ones that really resonate, put that pile aside in a box, and then just one night just start taking pictures of it, send it, and then they send you this beautiful book and you could get rid of everything.
I love it. I'm sold.
Yeah, that's...
How do I hire you?
Tidy my stuff. But I mean, I'm not saying this to be hired. Truthfully, my big thing is educating people, because I don't want to go back to your house. I really am trying to teach people that it is simple. Mm-hmm. I think in your head, it's like people think there's no way I can do this. But if you start small, you gain momentum and you feel good about it. And you're like, I could do this.
Yeah.
And you do.
But no, seriously, how do I hire you? But that's actually a question. So if someone did want to hire you for this, what does it look like? You don't have to give prices and stuff. Obviously, I know it's on an individual basis, but it is. Because I don't even like giving my prices out to people. It's like, if you're that serious about this, then you call me and we'll talk about the price. Yeah. So, but what's the process you kind of walk a customer through is what I'm kind of getting at.
Yeah, it's tidymystuff.ca and you book a consult based on your schedule. Yeah. It's a free consult. I go in for maybe 20 minutes. Yeah. Look at your space. We talk about it, what you want, what you need, your vision. Yeah. And then I come up with an estimate, and then it's yay or nay, basically.
I love it.
It's usually always yay. Then we book it and we go. Yeah. So what people don't think, they think I have a small home office. This will just take a few hours. Meanwhile, a home office normally takes 3 days. Yeah. I'm just prepared because every piece of paper needs to be looked at. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But then I just did this huge garage that took 4 hours. Because garages are impersonal. They're big, chunky things that that just need to be removed around. Yep. So if it's anything where the person has to be there and kind of go through it with us, it depends. Some people can make decisions really quickly and some don't. So so all this to say the price varies.
Okay. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. I mean, I'm feeling motivated to get tidy, and I think that's probably what people are going to feel after they listen to this podcast. Is I'm ready to go home and organize that drawer again.
Well, true. Some people are it's not cheap to have a home organizer, but is it inexpensive to have a pool in your backyard? No, but is it a summer after summer of fun for the kids? Great. I always compare it to a trip. We're not taking trips right now. So if you're used to going, to Florida once a year, then the cost of a home organizer to change your whole life, your whole home, is the cost of that trip, maybe. Then, what do you do after the trip? You come home, you pile up the laundry, and you still have a laundry problem in your laundry room. Right. So a lot of people have been doing that during COVID, is hiring us to kind of come in and saying, hey, we had money saved up, but we think that having a better life is actually a better investment.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so is it you, or is it a team, or is
I
it,
have a team.
Yeah. Oh,
I have a
okay.
team.
Right on.
Yeah,
Nice.
we've been growing.
Oh, great.
So
Yeah.
Windsor's caught on to the decluttering.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
right on.
it's really, really good. It's fun. I have a lot of university students that kind of come in and help me out, and it's a lot of fun. It's very rewarding. If you have any plans of being a home organizer, I like really encourage it.
Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah, it's a
you
very gratifying job.
It's very gratifying, and not in the sense like, again, the bins are all lined up in pretty colors. It's to see the people. You actually see the weight lifting from them.
Yeah.
Like it's unbelievable.
I love it. So let's just talk, because there's this other element that you have about your story, which is, you know, you had this great corporate gig. You know, you're a corporate event planner, and you know, making great money and probably good salary, good pension, these types of things, and then one day something happens, and you just say, you know what, this isn't for me anymore. I'm going to go down this other road and pursue this passion I have. So walk me through that process.
Yeah, I was basically, as you said, a corporate event planner for, 20 some years. And I loved it. Took people on trips all over the world. I worked for a big bank. I made good money, good perks, good pension, the whole thing, right? But then a friend of mine's parents died and left behind a full house of stuff. And they were hoarders, which is a whole other conversation we could be having. And he did not know where to start. And I just started helping him like we started with a drawer, and then we went to a closet, and then we went to a room. And it was so rewarding for me. And so I just kept that going with other friends, and then started, I'm like, wow, this is a lot of fun. I really like it. I like helping people. So I just kind of started a side hustle, which a lot of people are doing, and found that I enjoyed that so much more than the job I was doing. It was just, it was way more rewarding. So I decided to make the leap. And then one day, for anybody out there who really wants to, make that leap, because it's not easy. You're petrified of like leaving your paycheck and then hoping it's going to work. I was listening to this DJ in Toronto, and he had just moved into Toronto. And he was living in boxes, and I could hear it in his voice every morning. He was miserable. And one morning he said, like, he sat in his car, in his parking lot, because he didn't want to go in his home, because he hated that feeling. And I thought, oh my God, I could help this guy. So I just decided to DM him. Like, out of the blue, on Instagram. He's got 1 million followers. And I said, I could help you. Like, give me 4 hours in your house for free. I'm not crazy, by the way. He did ask for some proof that I was legit. And he's like, all right, way to go. Like, go for it. And I went in, and he was, typical DJ, morning DJs. He was working from 5 to 9. Wow. So I went in at 5 in the morning. He left me the keys. And in 4 hours, completely, and to me, I didn't do much. I literally just unboxed everything and put everything where it's supposed to be. I didn't even get into the nitty gritty of organizing his closets or anything like that. But it changed his whole feeling about moving to a new city. And he was overwhelmed and talked about it on radio.
Was this when you still had your corporate gig?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. And he talked, because I couldn't work 9 to 5. So I would work 5 in the morning, or I'd work evenings, or I'd work weekends. I was working all the time.
Yeah.
But I didn't care, because it was so rewarding. Anyway, so he talked about it on air, because it just affected him so much. His co-host was Marilyn Dennis. And so Marilyn Dennis has a show. And next thing you know, I'm on the show. Like, it all happened so quick. And it's only because I reached out with one message. It didn't cost anything. It just took a little bit of balls, for lack of a better word, chutzpah, and it could happen. Yeah. And then after that, it just kind of exploded. And I realized the corporate job wasn't suiting me anymore. Yeah. I actually got really, really sick mental health-wise, because it just wasn't the right fit. Yeah. And I wasn't listening to my body, like that intuition that you talk about. Yep. And it took me getting really, really sick to be like, okay, I need to let this go. And so I quit it and have been doing this full time. And I wake up every morning and I'm like, I get to help somebody today. I get to do what I love. Like my boyfriend always says, it looks like it's Christmas for me every day. Like it just is. I get really excited about this.
Yeah. And like, this is what's available to people, when they follow their passion. And, the only thing that prevents us from following our passion is fear, fear that we're not going to, pay the bills, fear that we're not going to, we're going to be judged by our family, fear if you have to go crawling back to your corporate job and say this didn't work. There's so much fear, and I've been really tuning into that lately. And I actually just made an Instagram post about it. It's like when the pandemic hit, I had to buy a home gym. I was like, because the gyms were open, they're closed, and I was like, enough. Like I need to buy a home gym, and but it's expensive. Like I spent like $8,000 on that home gym. And it's like, geez, like this is a lot of money, right? And I could feel the fear coming in, but I recognized it was just fear, and the fear of poverty, and that and the scarcity that comes up when you think about money and these types of things. But because of the work I've done, I'm like, no, the universe is abundant, talking about those universal principles, and it's like this money's going to come back to me, and whatever it may be. But now, like having that home gym, it's just like it's been the greatest thing on earth. It's like not only is it like when the gyms are closed, I can use it, but also it's a complement to when the gyms are open. So I have a personal trainer, and so when I can go to the gym, I'm working out with her, and then in between those, I'm doing my own home little workout, and it's like it's been a time saver because I don't have to drive to the gym. It's like even though my gym is just around the corner from my house, but still it's 10 minutes in the car both ways. So it's like now I walk out and my gym's in my garage, so it's like
it's changed your life essentially.
Yeah, so it's like what I'm trying to get at is if we can take the leap and recognize the fears and be aware that they're there, and then say, okay, I see you, fear, but I'm not going to allow you to control me. And so for you, I think that came through the act of doing, though, saying, hey, I'm just going to start this small on the side, and then as you got confirmation that you're onto something, the fear begins to come less and less and less. And that's kind of like what happened with my coaching too, right? I just wanted to help people, and that was number one. And that's where it started. Exact same process. I started helping people for free, right? So I started coaching clients for free, friends, family, whatever it was. And I started recognizing that there was changes in it. And so I'm like, changes in these people, and they were happy, and their lives were transformed. And I was like, oh, okay, like this is going to work, right? So then I started taking one-on-one clients, and then eventually it built to the place where I was like, I don't even need this other business anymore that I have. Like I have my restaurant, right? I'm like, I don't even need this other business, and I can do this whole full time, right? So it wasn't like this one aha moment, but it all did start with starting.
It is.
Yeah.
But recognizing that it is scary for everybody.
Yes.
It just is scary. Even though I had that, okay, what I'm doing is good, and people want to book me, and I was booked for a year, before, and I was still holding down this. You have this fear. For me, it was like, what are people going to think? And I know I listened to your podcast recently. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares.
It's true.
It took me to realize nobody cares. They care so much about them.
Yep.
And like thinking about being on my deathbed and thinking like, will I look back at this moment and be like, why didn't I just do it? That was a big thing for me. Yeah. I wanted to just like try it. And what's the worst thing that could happen? Yeah, I go back and get another corporate gig.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not going to lie. I had one on the side, like just in case, but that was my process to do it. Mm-hmm. And then you make this huge leap. And it's so funny. I was talking to my girlfriend who did the same leap as me.
Yeah.
And the minute it's done, you don't even think about it anymore. It's so weird that you were so scared about this moment, and then you do it and you completely forget about it because you're so gung-ho now. Your whole energy is on this thing. It's really, really cool.
Well, and there's a big thing that happens as well is if you I have this great quote from Confucius that says the person who chases two rabbits catches neither, right? And so it's like when you kind of have one foot in the door over here and one foot in the door over here, it's like you kind of never get into any field, mm-hmm. But when you become the field of being an entrepreneur, or become the field, like I say, for example, of home organizer, you get the support, and you got it like really early with that DJ, through the courage of just putting that DM out there, and then right away you were rewarded with this universal support of like, hey, like, come on the show, do this, and like, bam, like you were hit the ground running, and this job is coming. Now, for everyone, it might not be that quickly, but you are going to receive support.
Absolutely.
But the primary focus cannot be on making money.
No, and it never was for me.
Yeah, right. And I knew that you were already there, but it's like, if you're making the leap because I'm going to go make more money, you got it all wrong right from the get-go. And I know that wasn't you, because you're offering to help this guy for free, so it's like your passion is just to help people, so that they can feel that freeing feeling from being decluttered. And because of that, you're getting all kinds of support, and you're seeing it from the growth of your business.
Absolutely. My whole life has been do what you love and money will come.
Yeah,
that's always been my motto, because as long as you're doing what you love, like that energy, I did that in event planning. I knew nothing about event planning. I didn't go to event planning school, but I just started it at really, really low, junior level, and I loved it. And then it grew so quickly. And like you said, it would just, all these opportunities came to me because I loved it. And then I found that I didn't love it anymore and was just doing it for the money. And then that didn't work for me. So you're absolutely right. If you are truly following your passion, all these opportunities happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a great example, because it's like, you got to love it, and it's like, so if you're feeling the love of what it is that you do, you're going to be in more of a state of flow, than as a place of a state of force, right? If you don't love what you're doing and you're just doing it for the money, or for the prestige of like the title of doctor, lawyer, whatever that may be, you're gonna continue to kind of struggle throughout your life, until you finally say, hey, wait a second. And sometimes, what I find for people is that it's not even so much that you have to change your job. It's just that you have to change the mindset there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just like a recontextualization of why you're doing what it is that you do.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
The other thing is, people can tell when you're at a store, or at the dentist, doctors, you can tell if they really like their job or not.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And when people want to be around that good energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the store where I know the girl there just loves what she does. I'm going to go buy my clothes from her. I'm going to go to the dentist that whistles through the office and is having a great day, like everybody. So there's no way you can't be successful.
No, you're 100%
because people
right.
just naturally gravitate towards that.
Yeah, you attract that into your life. It's like, and there's no force. And I even say this, like, not even effort. It's just like you're being who you are because you're doing what you love, and because of that, people see it. Like you can't bullshit the universe, and so it's like, if you're miserable, it's going to come right through. If you're happy and you love what you do, it's going to come through as well, and people are going to obviously gravitate towards that person that's happy and cheerful and whatever else, right? So let's talk a little bit about the move. I know you're kind of in between Toronto and Windsor now, but
no, I'm in Windsor.
Now you're full in Windsor?
Yeah,
okay.
Full in Windsor.
So you're full in Windsor, and so you talked. I was just in Toronto because my dog was sick, and but there's big differences between Windsor and Toronto, and so and when you brought up a good point before we started. It's like in Windsor, people have all the room in the world to store all kinds of stuff. In Toronto, that's not a luxury, right? So it's more about getting rid of all this stuff and minimalizing.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are not Canadian, you have a lot of different followers.
Yeah, right.
Toronto is a big city with tiny condos and apartments. And Windsor has got all this space. It's the suburbs, right? Yeah. So they have big houses, garages, basements, tons of space to hide stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Toronto, decluttering is not an option. You have to do it.
Yeah.
Or else you can't live there. So most people live in a very small space. So home organizing in Toronto is very popular. Mm. You're just like the plumber. You just come, you get, once a year. I had clients that I went once a year, once every 6 months to just do the decluttering for them. It's just part of living there. Mm-hmm. And most people know how to do it themselves. They just don't buy a lot of stuff. But then come to Windsor and probably most suburbs, and you could just buy a lot of stuff. And you don't have to see it every day because there's all these hiding spots everywhere. There's closets. There's, like I said, garages and basements.
Yes.
So the education I've had to kind of teach people that, it's really great that you have all this space, but you don't need to have stuff everywhere.
And then the other thing is you might not need all that space either. Could come with it too, right? Yeah. That's something that Torontonians know, that, so you don't need as much space as you think you do. And so, it's crazy in this day and age. If you think back in the, early times before electricity and stuff, how much time did people spend on their dwelling back in the day? Like the Indians, they throw up a teepee like in 10 minutes, you know what I mean? And that's what does their house. But now we're living in houses that we have to spend 40 years of our life paying off. And it's just like, wow, it's like we as humans over the history of time have not really, you know, spent a majority of our lives paying off our dwellings until recently, you know, and especially with this real estate boom, you know, it's like people just think they need more space and they need more. And, you know, a big thing I tell people, there is nothing that you need to add. It's all about subtraction, which is pretty much your whole entire
Absolutely.
business concept is about subtracting. And so not only could it mean subtracting the clutter, but it could mean subtracting some space. Imagine if you downgraded to a 2-bedroom house instead of a 5-bedroom house, and how much more money you would have. I mean, like, oh geez.
Well, David, like on a personal level, I'm a minimalist myself.
Yeah.
So I have a daughter, and we were living on a tiny island in the Caribbean called Barbados.
Oh, no way.
And when we moved back to Toronto, we had 2 suitcases with all her clothes, her toys, just 2. And because I've always lived like that, if you want to do stuff, you want to move around, you want to have energy for your child, that like you don't want that stuff.
Yeah.
So we moved into a tiny condo in Toronto. I bought 1 mattress for me and 1 mattress for her, and planning to buy more furniture. Never did. We lived, I mean, what else? Like we had a kitchen, we had seats at the kitchen table, at the counter. But I loved it. I woke up in the morning. I didn't have to clean anything. I didn't have to look after anything. It was just a very freeing feeling. I had never taken it to that level.
Yeah.
And it was only for a year. I mean, obviously with children, they need desks and stuff like that. But you're absolutely right. You always need less room than you think. And when it comes to organizing, it's funny. A lot of people think like, oh, I'll go get that cabinet or that bookshelf or all those bins to start organizing. And that's the wrong way to go about it. Because you'll find once you declutter everything you don't need, there's so little left.
Yes.
So I always tell people, no, do the decluttering first and then see what's left.
Right.
These like cabinets, the office cabinets with the 4, the metal ones.
Yes.
And I just did one yesterday and it was full. The 4 things, we pared it down to 1. And she decided to just put it in a bin so she could carry it everywhere with her and then donate it to the cabinet. So like it's very weird what people think. They think they need to go, get the stuff that will get them organized, then bring that into the house, which is another thing in the house, and then start organizing. It's the other way around. Just get rid of stuff.
It's not about adding, it's about subtracting.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. It is really that.
Yeah. So I'm pumped. Like I'm ready. I'm ready to I'm ready to start. And so now I know that the listeners are feeling the same energy that I'm feeling, right? Which is like, I'm going home and I'm going to start freaking organizing. I'm going to start with that junk drawer. I'm going to get it back organized. But where are some steps, that I could go through that? Like, where do I start? I mean, number 1 would be, I'd call you, I think would be the greatest.
No, yes, but no, this is truly something you can do.
Yeah.
Start small. Grab that 1 bin from the basement, bring it up to the kitchen table, put that music on, get some tea, get comfortable, get the kids organized somewhere else, and just focus on that 1 bin. Okay. And then do a donate pile. Put a bag there for donate and a throwaway pile or recycle pile, and have that system and just do that bin. Okay. And then once you're done that bin, go donate it or put it in your car, that donate bag, and then go throw out that bag. That's it. Because what happens is an explosion happens when you think you could attack that basement. You start opening bins and next thing you know, it gets like unruly. Yeah. And when I'm organizing, I always tell people it's going to get ugly before it gets better, because it does. Like but I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, right.
So, and I have to keep the person on task because it just like gets overwhelming. That donate pile starts growing, and then the garbage and the recycling. And so it is overwhelming even for a professional organizer if you're going to attack a whole room. So really, really bring it small. I know it sounds dumb, but it's the only way to do it.
Yeah. Small, consistent daily action is the key to success. So.
Yes. If you're brave enough to do your closet, great. But just work on maybe the clothes. You'll do the shoes later.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And some people think, oh, I'll bring in a friend to help me out. If that friend is really organized and can keep you on task, great. Right. But I find if you kind of zone out, and just do it and get into it, then absolutely.
I love it. So I shouldn't take all this energy I have and tear apart the basement.
No.
Okay. I think that's great advice. I think, and it goes to like one of the things that I teach, my clients. It's like, small, consistent daily action is the key to success, so it's like, success is simple. Organizing your basement is simple. Now I'm glad I know that now because I have you on my podcast, but it's like, if I look at the whole basement, I get overwhelmed. If I look at one bin, bring it upstairs, I'm like, I can do this. Right. So, but then the key is doing it every weekend or once a day or whatever it may be.
Every weekend.
Yeah, every weekend. Yeah.
Take an hour.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's all you need.
That's it. Like think 52 weekends in a year.
Yeah.
52 areas in a year. Like your whole house could be done actually in a few months.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And focus on the small areas that are troublesome. So something like making lunches for kids every day. Mm-hmm. This is a bane of my existence sometimes. So got 2 bins from the dollar store. One bin has all her lunchbox stuff. Yeah. Okay. The other bin has all the snack stuff. In the morning, those 2 bins come out and ta-da, like easy lunches.
Yes.
So because that was bothering me every day. So think about something small that bothers you. It could be under your sink for your makeup, your hair, like getting ready in the morning. Just attack that. Yep. And see how that transforms your life.
Yeah. I love it. All right. So where do people find you? If they want to hire you? How
TidyMyStuff.ca.
Yeah. Okay.
At TidyMyStuff on Instagram.
Got it.
Yeah.
Instagram and your website. You have Facebook too or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Tidy My Stuff. Ysabelle, this is empowering. I'm ready. Like I'm so glad that I decided to have you on the podcast, and we'll have to have you back for like a part 2, and we can maybe dig into some deeper stuff as well. It's an inspiring story. This is where I'm gonna leave a kind of like an ad lib to part 2. It's like I know a lot of people that are listening to this are like, wow, it's really great that she followed her passion, but she had this amazing corporate gig and she had it all together already, and then she was able to start her business, and I know that's what people are thinking. So but don't answer it because I know you want to, so don't answer it, and because we'll leave that for like a part 2 of getting deeper into taking that leap.
Sounds good. I love it.
All right, thanks for coming on, and I look forward to doing part 2 with you.
Thank you. Me too.
Awesome. So don't forget, guys, if you haven't already, just make sure you click that subscribe button. And we're here every Wednesday. And contact Ysabelle here, man. Like let's get organized. Let's declutter. Let's subtract. It's not about adding. And it's great that there are people like Ysabelle that are out here like really helping people do this in their homes. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.